Shalom, Grand Risings, Rahubat, Ashuk Ashe. It's Brothers to Death, and we back with another important live video, man. Alright? This one's going to be pretty important. We'll let the notifications go out for a second. How everybody doing out there, man? About to get into it this morning. Something important that we all need to work on. Things that we all deal with. Right? So with that being said, notification just went out. I forgot to charge the tablet this morning. So I'm about to go ahead and get started, all right? Now, today we're in the Holy Tablets. Chapter 7, the living soul. We're going to be going into uprooting the ego and the emotions, right? So this is tablet 31, uprooting ego. Lo, I have brought to your attention the knowledge on what you all carry within your personality. And that is the ego. Now I must teach you how to uproot the ego. It must be evident by now that being righteous, being a child of Elohim, as Elo or El, meditating and being saved, or being religious, entails far more than just making a claim. Sitting with eyes closed and legs crossed saying, I'm God, or lip confessions, it demands rigorous introspection and an overhauling of one's personality. Appreciate the gift, appreciate the gift. Now, life patterns and values. Behavior correction and the uprooting of weaknesses are relatively easy adjustments to make. The more obstacles which lie deep within. The emotional imbalances and personality defects that nurture outward malevolent disagreeable habits. The petty, obstinate egoism behind the mask of the human personality is one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. For it veils the light within, which supports surface thoughts and perpetrates its own habitual feelings and actions. This lower self, arrogant nature must be whittled down. For if it persists in retaining its limited false values, no amount of spiritual practice will bear fruit. Too often, people profess of being righteous, yet they are unwilling to eradicate the lower nature and change the old habits. That's why the Bible states that we must be born again. We must be reborn. You have to unalive the old you, right? Clinging to them, they refuse to even admit the need for change, right? This type of individual will never make any real progress. For without radical transformation of the lower nature, one goes nowhere. It is not easy to change deeply ingrained habits. And the sincere person who just attempting to change often feels helpless against them. By regular spiritual practice, untiring selfless service, association with spiritually minded people, and strong determination to eradicate egoism, a powerful but selfless will is developed, right? One must introspect and discover all weakness and defects. This is kind of explaining shadow work, right? You got to go within. You got to focus on yourself, the inner you, right? The transmitting, and a strong determination to eradicate egoism, a powerful but selfless will is developed. One must introspect and discover all weakness and defects. The transmitting of the lower nature to higher nature demand full and heartfelt dedication. Sometimes the old personality attempts to reestablish itself, even after years of purifying. Obstinately self-assertive and self-supportive by the lower mind and will, it can make the aspirant incorrigible, unruly, arrogant, and impertinent. Identifying with the ego, he or she breaks all the rules and disciplines, revolts against all things, and all is ever ready to fight with those who are unwilling to respect his or her views and opinions. Wallowing in self-justification and denying faults and defects, the person may be aware of the effects of his or her actions, for the intellect had been clouded by impurities, not knowing what he or she means and not meaning what he or she says. He or she is too self-willed and self-satisfied to see the error of his or her ways. Pay attention, y'all. This is breaking it down right here. This stuff is very important because the emotions is the stuff that weighs us down from getting to that higher vibration, a higher level of consciousness. On different dimensions, higher dimensions and different realms and polarities and universes don't deal with emotions. You see what I'm saying? That's just a 3D construct. If anything, love is the main thing, right? Let's keep going. One who is not straightforward and cannot keep discipline or open his or her heart to others cannot be helped by any teacher. Nothing can help one who deliberately shuts his or her eyes against the truth. Such a person, instead of making progress along life's path, it remains stuck in the mirror of his or her own creation. If there is any recognition that something is wrong, the slightest attempt to improve, or even a slightly receptive attitude, then the errors can be corrected. One who is frank with his or her teacher and him or herself begins to realize the nature and source of his or her defects. He or she is soon on the way to improving his or her life. Right? Now, so that was about uprooting the ego, how you can do it, what must be done, and where you're trying to go by reaching this higher level of consciousness, right? By reaching that higher nature, that higher self. Ego is part of the lower nature, right? So I just explained what it is, how to deal with it, how to eradicate it, and things that can help. And what happens if, and also that it can come back. So this is a lifelong thing. This is something you must be persistent. You got to stay consistent. It's not going to be easy. But it can be easy to be corrected. But to stay that way is not going to be easy. You see what I'm saying? Let's keep going though. Now we in tablet 32, the emotions. Right? Lo, first, my children, allow me to give you knowledge on emotions. This knowledge came from a divine scripture, a scripture which was received by me to give unto you. so that you may have right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, which will lead you into which will lead you into sound right reasoning, the science of Nuwabu. Okay? And that's a little tidbit about what we do. Our way of life is considered Nuwabu or Nuwapu. All right? Right wisdom, right knowledge, right understanding, which leads to sound right reasoning, which is the science of Nuwabu. I'm going to do a whole lesson on what is Nuwabu. Some people pronounce it what is Nuwapu, right? Let's keep going. The science of Nuwapu, which was given to you by the Anunnaki, the Elohim, the angelic beings. That is the let us. The Anunnaki, the Elohim, the angelic beings are the us. When it said, let us create man in our image, right? It wasn't just one being. It wasn't just the Most High by himself. He had children. He had a mother and a father. And there was a whole process. All right? The divine scripture is called the Holy Tablets, which I'm reading right now, where it states, of all the emotional barriers, the most devastating is anger, the greatest enemy of peace, for it is the most negative. It is a modification of lust, for one's desires are not gratified. For when one's desires are not gratified, one becomes angry. The mind then becomes confused. Memory and understanding is lost. Let me run that back. Of all the emotional barriers, the most devastating is anger. When you're mad, the greatest enemy of peace. So being mad and being angry is the greatest enemy of peace. For it is the most negative, and it is a modification of lust. For when one's desires are not gratified, one becomes angry. Right? And we all know this is the case. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Our emotions control our actions. Our emotions control our peace of mind, right? Then the mind becomes confused. Memory and understanding is lost. When you're mad and angry, your peace is gone. Your thinking is gone. Your mind is gone. Your common sense is gone. You see what I'm saying? And when I get mad, I'm a perfect example. I don't care about what comes out of my mouth. I don't care how I hurt somebody. I don't care about nothing at that moment. It just said it. Right? And things are said and done without awareness or control. I just said that. Things are said and done, or done and said without awareness or control. Right? And things are said and done without awareness and control. Anger does great danger to one's own physical and psychic bodies. You're not only hurting other people, you're hurting yourself, your physical body, and your psychic body. As well as those of the others. The whole nervous system is shattered by one fit of anger. Your whole nervous system is gone, shattered by anger. Right? Occasionally, a spiritual teacher expresses a little anger outwardly in order to correct a student. Me, I'm considered an elder of the people that I teach. So when bad things happen, I'm the one who has to keep the more of a level head. Right? It just explained it. Occasionally, a spiritual teacher expresses a little anger outwardly in order to correct a student. Sometimes we have to show a little anger to get the point across, right? The Bible speaks, it says, cry loud and spare none. Stand bold for me as a lion. Who shall stand bold as a lion, right? Salakia, forgive me if I misphrased that. You understand you understand what I'm saying? Now, but this should not be confused with an emotional outburst, excuse me. But this should not be considered with an emotional outburst. Though he or she may appear hot and indignant on the outside, the true master remains cool within. On the outward side, we show a little anger, but within, we keep it cool. For his or her motive is the growth of his or her disciples. Only when anger is the outcome of selfish or petty motives, it is wrong. Anger is very difficult to control, and especially when it has been allowed to grow and become habitual, right? It is the most easily controlled when it is a small ripple in the subconscious mind. One should watch the mind carefully for any signs of irritability. Then control is no problem. Frequent irritations over trifling matters is a sign of mental weakness. This can be overcome by carefully developing its counterforce, the virtue of patience. Just as heat and light can be transformed into electricity, anger can be transformed into spiritual energies. All vices, unwanted qualities, and wrong actions stem from anger. When anger has been controlled, all others unalive by themselves. Anger gains strength with repetition, and in checking it, one gradually strengthens the will by learning to remain silent even in the face of insult and abuse. It becomes easier to check for emotion before they take form. You got to catch this stuff before it manifests, right? When you feel a change or you feel irritable, you feel a change in your mental status, check it at the door. Don't let it come in and then try to kick it out. They got squatters' rights. Once they in and they become habitual and they stay there, they ain't gonna want to leave. Just like squatters' rights. Like if somebody's been in your house for 30 days, you got to get them 30 days in order to leave. Don't let them emotions get into the door, especially anger. Check it at the door, right? It becomes easier to check for emotion before they take form, right? Always speak moderately, and if there is a possibility of a burst of anger during conversation, stop speaking and do something else. Words should be soft and arguments hard. For if the words are hard, they create conflicts. Drinking cool water or taking a brisk walk are excellent aids in combating anger, as in maintaining silence for a long time. Smoking, eating bad food, and drinking are irritants, which irritates and aggravates the problems, and they are best to be avoided. Family can bring out the worst in you. Loved ones know how to get inside and upset you. Don't argue when hungry. If you accept too much of others, you deserve the pain of a letdown. Do what you know you can do. Don't try to be a show off, and it can bring you problems. If you go into crowded areas, you're bound to find trouble. If you are in control of your emotions, you are responsible for whatever happens to you. You are always where you are supposed to be. Look around you. Right? That is dealing with the emotions. Emotions, emotions, emotions. Supreme, we're supposed to be gods and goddesses, kings and queens. We're supposed to be higher than our emotions. We're supposed to be able to keep it cool when there's fire all around. We're supposed to know when it's time to get hot, when it's frozen all around. You see what I'm saying? We got to check the emotions, especially anger. Anger is the most dangerous, right? With that being said, this is Brothers to Death. Don't forget to like, subscribe. When you come into the chat, don't forget you can comment. You can send us gifts. Also, go check out all our music. We're on all streaming platforms. We just recently dropped 2 new freestyles. One called Run It Up. The second one we just dropped is Green Light Thoughts Part 2. Go check out our latest music videos, Gotta Win, All In, 360 Degrees. Our 2 latest singles, Sadness, Sadness, Behind You. We have so much music. The world is starting to catch on, so you might as well come on and join the fan club, right? The more y'all support us, the more we support y'all. We have merchandise on our YouTube shelf. Please go check it out. Anything from clothing to accessories. We also have YouTube memberships, with each package getting closer and more personal with us, Brothers to Death. If you have any questions or any particular topics or videos that you want to be brought out, please let me know. I will give you that information. This is what I do. This is one of my many gifts. Of course, I'm a super talented rapper. But also, I'm blessed and I'm sent here to be a teacher, right? I'm an elder. That's what people consider me, all right? With that being said, Brothers to Death, we love y'all. Peace and blessings. Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Barakatham, Rawubat, Huamana, Ashuk Ashe. Let's go. Brothers to Death, peace and blessings.